Hi guys, and welcome back to Oz Fantastic Adventures, and we're in the heart of the Whitsundays, Airlie Beach. In this episode, we're going to take a trip out to the famous Whitehaven Beach, #1 ranked beach in Australia consistently, and this year the #1 beach in the world. How cool is that?
And also, I thought I might give you a bit of an idea of what we thought about as far as looking after ourselves on the road, including the use of an automatic defibrillator, which we carry.
And also we're going to do something completely different and explore the Proserpine River region and go on a croc safari. An astounding day, and it was up close and personal with some big sharp teeth. And then after that we decided to go for a bit of a day trip around the place, have a look around, found a nice swimming hole for Mel.
Went up to Bowen.
Yeah. Down to Cedar Falls, had a look at the falls were nearly dry, but the swimming hole wasn't, so someone got in. And then went for lunch and found a funky, groovy little 1950s diner.
Yeah, it was good.
Down at Conway Beach.
Yeah.
And anyway, you'll get a bit of a look at that, and just have a look at this place. It's awesome. Enjoy. Well guys, welcome to the Whitsundays. Smiling a bit, Mum. How good's this?
Right, beautiful.
Whitehaven Beach.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Here we are.
In the sunshine.
26 degrees. So we've been up to one of the hill inlets, Lookout, which is an island beside Whitehaven, and you get the spectacular view. You'll see all the views. We'll cut those in for you to have a look. Nothing short of amazing. The sand is really, really soft and powdery, not like the sands down south where it's a lot higher clay content. In fact, the sand here is 98.7% silica. The good thing about that, it makes it soft to feel. It's quite powdery, and it doesn't retain heat, so it doesn't matter how hot it gets here, the sand is easy to walk across, and you don't get burnt feet, which I think is pretty special. The indigenous people who inhabited the area thousands of years ago, and the Ngaro people, they were actually a marine-going tribe that lived off the ocean. On South Mole Island, which is towards the mainland from here, they'd discovered a quarry that is half a hectare in size, where the Ngaro people used to fashion their hooks, their spears, cutting implements, and axes and that type of thing. They've been doing some extensive archaeology on the island to do that. The interesting fact about the island is no one can figure out where the sand came from, because none of the islands have rocks that contain so much silica. So it must be transported on currents and delivered into this particular site, which is a bit of an anomaly, but anyway, something interesting. Tour operators obviously are operating around the clock, and today, as you can see, we've actually cracked it for a brochure day, as they call it. absolutely cracker of a day. There's no wind here. It's about 26 degrees. The water's calm. You could be anywhere in the world, and but why would you want to be anywhere else? So anyway, we're going to pop the drone up, give you a bit of a look around, and then we're going to have some lunch and a swim before we go offshore, and we're going to do some snorkeling. And we've already seen some whales. We saw 5 whales on the way out this morning, and some large turtles. There was word of a big manta ray floating around as well, having a bit of a feed. So there's a bit going on, and we're just going to kick back and enjoy it. We start our day with our guide Tom on a tractor-trailer ride through the surrounding Proserpine River lowlands. Tom explained the history of James Cook's travels in the area, along with demonstrations of how Indigenous tribes use the local fauna as part of everyday life, from transporting fire coals, stunning fish in billabongs for meals, and finding moisture in times of dry periods.
The same principle though, the pages of the phone book are so tightly packed together, no oxygen can penetrate, so as a result, it will just burn itself out. Won't kill the tree. Sorry, won't burn the phone book, I'm sorry, yeah, you get the idea anyway. The other thing about these melaleucas, they have the ability to suck up and store a hell of a lot of water, so it's very important in the dry season. No visible water around here. You've made your way through the forest, need a drink, no worries, all you need to do is find a nice big melaleuca like we have here.
Following the 45-minute tour, we shared some billy tea and freshly cooked damper for morning tea.
When the same thing happens, the tea is quite important. Most things you can get also oh good, no worries.
Yeah, folks, welcome back, and we've got a couple of dampers here. Tom made up a couple this morning, and dampers the old bushman scone. So the old original dampers were basically pretty basic, bit of flour and water. At the end of the day, you make a bit of flour and water, a pinch of salt thrown in. If you had a bit of baking powder, you could stick it in there as well. Make yourself a ball of dough and then make it clear in around the edge of the coal, stick it there and let it cook up. Take it out and dust it off and you had yourself a basic little crusty loaf that was very easy to fill your stomach up on. You know, it was a very cheap form of food. It'd fill you up and keep you going. That's what it's designed to do. And the name damper goes back to an old English term referring to when you had an empty stomach. This would be a fine damper to one's appetite. Okay, so it was a good damper to one's appetite. We've done that today in the camper. Oh, well, that one must have just risen up and hit the lid. There's soot on the top. But there we go. There's a couple of dampers for you. And ours are a little bit more flash than the old Bushman's damper. And we've done ours in the cast iron camp oven here. And this one's a plain one over here. This one's got a few sultanas in it. Okay, so that'll put the kids off straight away, won't it?
After morning tea, Tom and Mark lowered the boat down on a falling tide to start the 2-hour adventure looking for crocs. Tides here can be up to 6 metres, so the boat can't be left on the river permanently.
So yes, it's a big animal, it's a big apex predator, it's a top of the food chain animal and it eats people occasionally. How does that sound? Okay? So out of all the crocodilians on earth, the saltwater crocodile is the most territorial, one of the most dangerous. Okay, so the saltwater croc and the Nile crocodile in Africa are the two most dangerous crocodilians in the world. So this river system here, it's a pretty dangerous river, but that's... You've forgotten about the other croc already. You fella. Okay. That's the biggest croc we've seen so far. Okay. You thought the others were big? This guy's next level. The pressure's going to be right on him again. Lenny disappears for a few months at a time every year. He'll just start when the nesting starts, Lenny packs up and goes on holiday. Yeah, downriver. Because he came back from downriver this year. We saw him way downriver. And he was coming back from somewhere else. He came back one year after 10 months and he had barnacles along his tail. He'd been out in the open water. He'd been out of the river. How's that, folks?
Yeah.
Big crocodile.
Eyes are open to you, right?
Just drift past him, eh? Last week there was a different male on this bend, hanging around with her. A real dark fella. And I don't know where he is, he might be a bit further back down again. There's been a real clash for territories. No, shot through. He's on the left, keeping on the right. There he is, right outside in front of us. There he goes.
Oh, he's a ripper.
He's a big croc, he's a wary croc.
Just start again.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's my turn now. I just wanted to give everyone a little bit of information about safety and perhaps the possibility of coming across someone in cardiac arrest. Because of what I do for a living, I guess I was a little bit more thoughtful about what I thought we should take with us on a big trip like this, because given if we come across anything, I was in a bit better position to be able to help someone, and again with Pete's support. So because in Australia, according to the Australian Resuscitation Council guidelines, the leading cause of death at a hospital is from cardiac arrest. About 15,000 people per year die of cardiac arrest. Between 6 and 13% of those survive past 1 year. CPR is the key in improving these statistics and can be as much as by 5. Early defibrillation can improve survival rate by about 75%, and success declines by 10% each time, every minute goes by. So CPR, unfortunately it's only attempted by roughly about 30%, on about 30% of patients. So I guess what I'm saying is if we can get in and recognise that someone's in cardiac arrest and do CPR, then perhaps we might improve their chances of survival. So hence I went and bought a defibrillator, which we'll have a bit of a look at, to take with us, which I use with my current work. That's it there. It's called a heart sign. Very simple to use. You'll see them in a lot of places, particularly Coles, supermarkets. I think Woolies have these particular ones. They're self-explanatory, and they have got pretty easy to use. They're just a little machine like this with defibrillation. The pads are just in the back. As soon as you turn the machine on, it'll start talking to you and tell you exactly what to do. So with the 000 call taker, making a call to the 000 call taker, they'll be able to help you through what you need to do. And if there is one of these, and you should, well, I would recommend that you would look for them in the caravan parks in particular, if that's where you're travelling to, because most of the time they do have them. So keep an eye out just in case, you know, you're called upon to help out. I have one, but I'm always on the lookout to see whether they're actually available at the caravan parks. So this was around about $1,500, but I think it's a good investment and good safety aspect to have. Can be used on children as well. So that's that. So with that obviously is the CPR, and what we do these days is called call push shock. So we want people to call 000 and call for an ambulance. Recognise that someone needs help, so call 000. You don't want to be doing this on your own. When you start pushing on their chest, if they are not responsive and look like they're not going to respond, you need to check their airway and then immediately start pushing on their chest. CPR is the key to the chain of survival here. So calling 000, starting to push on their chest. I think most people know how to do that. I haven't found anyone who's not sure about where to put their hands on someone's chest. So, and you'll get guided by the 000 call taker. And then shock. So call push shock, calling 000, pushing on someone's chest to start CPR, and then using a defibrillator if it's available to shock them back into a rhythm if it recognises the rhythm that it can do that with. So really that's it with the CPR. Then also you can have a look at the Heart Foundation website. It's got a lot of information on it for you to look at, and I definitely recommend getting on and just refreshing yourself with some of those sorts of things. A lot of this information I'm talking about comes from there, so it's a reliable source. Then the other thing I would recommend that you do is on your phone get an app called Emergency Plus. It's an app that your kids can have it on their phone, but it will show you exactly what to do, how to do CPR, and it'll also show you exactly where you are. So if you're travelling and you're not sure where you actually need an ambulance to or need help, the Emergency Plus app will actually tell you exactly where you are, and it will also give the GPS coordinates. So if a helicopter or something like that, if you're remote and you need a bit of extra pair of hands, and you can tell the call taker what the GPS coordinates are if you're not sure about the address. So highly recommend getting something like that on your phone to help get help to you sooner than later. The other thing too is I would also, before you start travelling, think about your medications and what you should take with you so you can care for yourself. So perhaps go to the GP, talk about getting things like antiemetics or any of your regular medication made into an e-script. If you have any allergies, things like that, make sure you've got that sort of thing with you, and particularly if you're not going to be near help. Like for instance, we went to Carnarvon Gorge, and that's quite a long way from help, so I was very mindful that very mindful that we had, I had all this stuff just in case. So if I could possibly help someone along the way, then I had the stuff. So have a look at what you may need on your trip to take with you. The other thing we're going to talk about that I wanted to show you is the first aid kit side of things. And I know everyone has all sorts of versions of first aid kits, but at the end of the day, we don't really need a great big first aid kit. If you happen to stop on the side of the road, for instance, you should really make sure, wholly and solely look after yourself. Don't put yourself in any jeopardy. I have got a reflective vest. Now it's an ambulance one, but you can buy these sort of a reflective vest from Big W, from Kmart. They have these sorts of Bunnings. They have these sorts of reflective vests that you could put on to make yourself safe on the side of the road. So please don't put yourself in any danger if you are attempting to help anybody else. So safety first. I have a first aid kit that I use from work, but it's pretty basic. It doesn't have a real lot of stuff in it, but I'm just going to give you a little quick rundown. Probably a little bit more complicated than most, but for instance, you'll see here there's such a thing you can get. It's a snake bite bandage. So if you happen to be hiking or anything, I recommend having something like this. It's a dual purpose. You can use it for all sorts of things. There's things like, and obviously with COVID, make sure you have a mask. You might like, you can get splinting things to help splint any injuries, ankles, all sorts of stuff like that. Eye streams, perhaps another good one for you to be able to wash out anything in your eyes if you get anything in that. A couple of bandages, decent sized ones, because the smaller ones are fine, but you could use these bigger ones for a snake bite or to anything major hemorrhage wise. A combine or a sling or something, and one of these over the top will definitely be the go. The smaller ones are fine for small things, but the small things are generally not life-threatening. These anything that's got any major bleeding will need fairly heavy-duty sort of bandaging. So I would probably stick more to a couple of these bigger sized ones that will do a variety of things. It will help with the splinting, snake bite, major hemorrhage, banding up joints, that sort of thing. So, you know, at the end of the day, you don't need a lot. Some gloves. Make sure that you are protecting yourself again. Make sure you don't touch anyone if you can help it without some protective gloves. And also the other thing really, as you can see, I don't have a real lot. Just a few combines and pads and things that will help that keep a wound clean, and you can pop over it with the use of these sorts of bigger bandages to stem anything that's major in the way of major injury. But pretty much all the other small stuff you've probably already got in your smaller first aid kits, but if you need to help someone urgently, very basic sort of things that you need. A sling would be good, which I would have in here, no doubt. There's one in there, but a sling just to be able to, you know, immobilise someone's arm if they've injured their arm. But at the end of the day, a little bit of preparation before you're travelling long term, and if you are going to be doing any hiking or anything like that, make sure you are a little bit prepared for that. And also you might be able to help someone else. So remember, call push shock. Make sure you call 000 if you're not sure and ask for help. Start doing compressions on someone's chest if you think they might be in cardiac arrest. And if possible, and you know there's a defibrillator in a caravan park or somewhere, make sure someone can go and get that defibrillator for you. And there's always, this will help you, the call taker will help you, support you through anything like that. So really, if you've got any questions for me, then please let me know. Pete will pop them in at the bottom of the bottom of this segment, and you can ask me if you think you need to know anything more. But so yeah, I hope that's helpful to getting you started on the road. Yeah, so thanks for listening. Bye.
Hey, what do you got there?
Fresh pork dumplings.
What are they?
Pork dumplings.
No everlasting daisies in a beautiful desert rose. Where does that beauty come from? Heaven knows. Well, I could ask the wedge tail, but he's way too high. Wonder does he understand that it's wonderful to fly? And it's raining on the road.